I'm Christy Lindahl, Director of Communications for the National Exchange Club. I'm here to talk to you about the importance of proper branding for the national logo. Throughout the past several years, National Headquarters Communications Department has been emphasizing the benefits and whys of consistent national branding. We've explained the local club level connection, specifically where clubs can find their own logos, and how proper branding helps strengthen their own efforts. We have been very pleased with the many responses to articles in the member FYI emails and Exchange Today magazine, as well as the many articles in Currents. Many clubs have called with questions and to learn more. So this presentation isn't necessarily about emphasizing the why aspect of branding, but the proper way to use Exchange's logo and emblem. We need you to embrace and understand this information. In your role as district leaders, it's imperative that you be able to recognize branding errors and educate clubs. That being said, take a look at the bullet points on the screen. At this point in your Exchange Club membership, these are all roles that should come inherently to you. As you consider these qualities, think a bit deeper about what they mean. Who are your customers? They are current members, of course, but also the communities and the members of those communities that you serve. Community partners, whether donors, sponsors, or other nonprofits, and potential members. And I'm sure, of course, that you can think of some others. Champion Exchange is exactly what it sounds like, but it's about more than recruitment. Are the clubs in your districts ensuring their names are recognized with every event and every fundraiser they sponsor? Not simply mentioned, but loudly recognized. Club events should be recognized like Coors Field, home of the Colorado Rockies. There's absolutely no question about who supports that venue. Champion Exchange by making sure communities know about the benefits of having one in their community. Freedom Shrines, youth scholarships, and all of the community-specific assistance programs should be easy to connect with and, of course, easily identified with Exchange. These examples above naturally give way to PR and marketing avenues, but you should never forget about the power of traditional press releases, word of mouth, networking, and social media. And these characteristics, they should be second nature as well. Because if you are to care about Exchange's brand, you should instinctively walk the walk and talk the talk. As your familiarity with Exchange has grown and you have become more comfortable talking off the cuff about the organization, you have developed into leaders in these areas. Partnership building, recruitment, and petitioning support from groups whose own values align with Exchange. You know about Exchange's history, our objectives, and our goals for the future. So, considering what you know and what we expect of you, you can consider yourselves brand ambassadors. In everything you do, you are in fact acting as Exchange ambassadors. What exactly does this mean? Well, a brand ambassador is someone who Exchange entrusts to accurately and positively represent its brand. The goal is to increase awareness of Exchange. I'd like to point out two key words in this definition: trust and accuracy. At the end of this training, you should feel equipped and confident in this role. It's so important that you are able to confidently and accurately communicate this information because our clubs and members have also been entrusted with our brand. So, ultimately, they are also brand ambassadors. In your role as leaders, you are to go out and train them. And from what we've seen, they want this information. But branding is more than simply the visual representation of Exchange. It's also standardization of language. You have all surely noticed consistency in national headquarters communications, and even those within your districts. Throughout the past few years, this has been a very intentional and purposeful initiative. We talk and write about Exchange's 3 programs of service: Americanism, community service, and youth programs. We also have one national project, the prevention of child abuse. Always using the word prevention before the words child abuse to emphasize prevention. Exchange Club member is a more welcoming and less exclusive feeling phrase than the historically used exchangeite. Our data and studies have shown that use of the word exchangeite feels off-putting to younger and professional demographics. And finally, when describing exchange, the best phrase to use is simply a service organization. Oftentimes, clubs and members compare exchange to another organization that may seem more familiar, but that is doing exchange a great disservice. The goal is to create recognition for exchange, and that won't happen unless we talk about ourselves. These numbers on the screen are yet more examples of standardization and proper representation of exchange. We update these figures annually and use more than numbers to ensure accurate reporting. If you are ever in doubt, please refer to the public website for this information. It can be found under the Who We Are tab of the homepage. So, the role of National Headquarters staff is to ensure you have the proper tools and training to be successful brand ambassadors. This is why you will all hear so much about this topic every time we're together, and why you read about it in the magazine and member emails. We have gone to great lengths to ensure that every club and district has access to its logos. Club databases now have features that allow us to upload all versions of the logo that a club has permission to use. We even provide clubs with proper district logos on the member resources page. Many clubs have responded, and so many of them have been excited to have this branding ability. At the very heart of this discussion is that none of us owns this logo, the Exchange brand, or the emblem. These are trademark designs, and the guidelines to use these logoed elements are clearly spelled out in the branding guide, which is available on the member resources page of Exchange's website. One way we are able to uphold branding standards is through the PR and Marketing Awards, which require that only proper branding be used on all designs. Because, of course, National Headquarters cannot endorse and therefore cannot award the efforts of a club attempting to market exchange using unauthorized branding. We've all heard the adage that your smile makes a first impression, right? Well, let's consider Exchange's logo as its smile. As we move through this presentation, I want you to continue to think about that first impression. Here you see the standard formats available to clubs. We offer two versions of the club or district identified emblem and two versions of the full-size logo. These versions suit the majority of clubs in nearly every situation. On occasion, we do receive an offhand request for one of these in another color, and we have an excellent graphic designer who will work with whomever is making the request to ensure their needs are met while protecting Exchange's branding standards. To ensure unapproved alterations are not made to the files, we do only provide locked files and never the design files. That said, we will work with the vendor directly at the request of an authorized Exchange Club member if a design file is absolutely necessary to complete an order. In such a situation, we always receive a final proof of the artwork because we must approve the artwork prior to final production. Here you will see actual examples that we pulled from the internet of company logos. One version is not correct and the other is. The point of this slide is to demonstrate that even the slightest alteration can cause you to question authenticity. The differences here aren't drastic, but they certainly are notable. Hopefully, when you compare the two logos, one of each rings more trustworthy and legitimate than the other. We don't want this happening with Exchange. This is why we readily provide club and district logos. The benefit of being tied to a national organization when recruiting donors, partners, media support, and even members can be significant. So, as we go back to Exchange's logo, you should understand why it's important to respect the branding standards. A logo emits feelings in people. Familiarity, trust, competency. This is what our first impression should be. I would like to note that these examples were all taken at the beginning of our proper branding push several years ago. However, there is value in utilizing them in education about what not to do, so we have held on to them for that purpose. Examples of what you see here that the branding guide prohibits are of the emblem, which is the circular aspect of the logo being used as a letter, a number, or a symbol. Further, the emblem may never be placed within logo type artwork. What that means is that it may never accompany text, also called typeset, to create something that looks like a logo. This is what you see in the top 3 examples to the left. Again, these are all examples of the emblem being used with a customized typeset or font to create the feel of a logo. As explained in the branding guide, the emblem cannot be used in conjunction with a club or district name to form a logo type artwork. The actual approved logo must be used, set within specific proportions with a designated font and color. On this slide, you can see a logo that has been created that appears to be the correct one. However, upon a closer examination, there are several mistakes. The first error is that the incorrect font has been used. Exchange's official font is Futura. In fact, it's even the primary font in Exchange today. If you notice in the top example, the I in Louisiana has a foot on it. This is called a serif font. However, Futura is a sans serif font, meaning the letters are clean strokes and there are no feet on any of the letters. Moving on, the district name is misstated. All district names end in district exchange clubs. Similarly, all exchange clubs have official charter names that must be used within their logos. Should a club prefer a different name in its logo, it must go through the formal process of an official name change. Finally, the emblem in the top example is significantly larger in proportion to the text than in the proper logo. This is quite obvious. Now, if you think back to the examples provided in the slide with Nike and McDonald's, you can probably see how these ever so slight errors can cause someone to question the authenticity of a district or the materials it had branded with this artwork. These are examples of what can and can't be done with the logo. The images on this slide are merely snippets taken from the branding guide, which can be found in the Member Resources section of Exchange's website. It is specifically located on the Logos and Artwork page. The guide is very detailed and is a great reference anytime you might have a question about how to properly use the logo or emblem. The most wonderful thing about the files in which we provide the artwork to clubs and districts is that they cannot be altered. The standard JPEG and PNG formats simply allow the entire file to be resized, but everything set inside the file is essentially locked, including the colors. Often, however, we are contacted by clubs who need the actual design file for larger projects, such as signs and banners. We are happy to assist with these projects. Several times a week, we work with vendors to send them the design files and approve the final projects, ensuring the artwork has not been improperly altered. The goal is to always make branding simple and helpful. It may seem branding and proper logo usage can be overwhelming. In fact, in the world of acceptable logo usage, there always seems to be a lot of don't. But that's why we go to such great extremes to provide you everything you might need to carry on with day-to-day Exchange Club business. Of course, as with anything we ever discuss, staff at National Headquarters is always accessible. Please feel free to call us at any time at 419-535-3232 or email the Communications Department at commун@nationalexchangeclub.org if you ever have branding questions or any other question related to PR and marketing. Thank you.